Wagwan peeps, welcome back to the channel. I'm Shango, a creator from Jamaica. This is ETT. I'm sure you can see it. So this is the 8K build. Before we get into it, let's build the computer. We're going to breeze through the build for the computer. So we have the motherboard. When installing the processor, there's an orange triangle that you need to line up with the slot on the board. Open the memory stick slot and seat the memory stick firmly on the board. It is important to remove the plastic from the M.2 heatsink because this will cause the M.2 to overheat. Also remove it from the M.2 expansion card. Add the fans that come with the radiator, then remove the processor bracket from the board. Add the riser screw that comes with the AIO, and then install the AIO with the thumb screws. You can tighten them with a screwdriver. Open the PCI Express top slot and seat the video card firmly. What we're going to do now is try and post the computer. So plug in all the respective cable in the power supply and turn it on. Then you would turn on the computer. One of the reasons to do this is to make sure that all the components are working. It's much harder to troubleshoot the computer when it's in the case. Now let's put it in the case. As you can see, I had to remove all the cables to put the computer in the case, but it's an important step that you don't want to miss. It can save you a lot of time. Alright, I won't bore you with cable management, so let's see how the computer looks in the dark. So the build is amazingness, and I am super impressed with all of these parts. As you saw in the previous video, I'll be linking it in the description if you never saw it before, and did some 8K testing. So what I ended up doing, I went on Red Cinema and download some 8K footage, and I put them on the timeline in Premiere. And I must say, it was moving so smooth at full playback. And if you are not familiar with Premiere Pro, when you're doing work in Premiere Pro, you have the option to choose whether it play back the image quality at full, half, or quarter. And I was playing back 8K footage at full with this amazing machine. Not only I was playing back 8K footage at full and it was like butter, what I also did, I also put the same 8K footage and downsample it to 4K and put 4 of those on the screen, and it was still like butter. Amazingness. Now, if you watched the previous video, you would have known the parts, but if you're just watching this video, so what we have inside this machine, we have the motherboard is an MSI Prestige X570 creation board. Now this motherboard is something else. This motherboard has so much capabilities. Right now with this build, I'm not even using half of the capability of this motherboard. The processor is a Ryzen 9 3900X processor, and wow, it's an amazing processor. It has 12 core and 24 threads, so you know that when you have a lot of processing to do, that processing that use a lot of multi-cores, this processor will handle it like nothing. As I said, so far with this computer I am super impressed. As a matter of fact, I am jealous. Remember that this is not my computer. This is actually the computer of Motion Graphics Jamaica, the persons who gave me all the parts to do this build for them. And wow, amazingness. So the video card is an Asus GeForce 3070 video card, and this video card has 8 gigs of RAM, and that allows when you're using programs like Premiere Pro, any program that has GPU rendering. So if you're using possibly Cinema 4D that will use up a lot of GPU rendering, this GPU can take care of that. And as I said, that 8K timeline with the footage moving like butter. I am super impressed with this build so far. We also have 64 gig of memory. You hear that? 64 gigs of memory. So what that means is that you can store a lot of programs or a lot of stuff in RAM, which is a temporary way of storing stuff on the computer. And this has a lot of RAM. You know what I mean? As a matter of fact, so with this computer, how I think about it, this computer has no moving parts in it. So it's running on 100% M.2. So for the operating system, I end up putting the operating system on the 1 terabyte M.2, and I also have the 512 M.2 on the motherboard. So let me say it again. So I have a 1 terabyte with the operating system. I have a 500 gigabyte for cache disk or cache storage. But that means that when you're using program like Premiere and stuff like that, they store files in cache temporarily, and you want to have a space that can deal with that, and I put the cache on the 512. Now the 2 terabyte SM.2, I put it on the expansion card for the machine. The motherboard comes with an M.2 expansion card, which allows you to put 2 more M.2 in the machine. Right now it only have 1, so there is the possibility that the person might upgrade it to another one and really take the machine to a 4 M.2 machine with no moving parts in it. I am recommending the person to buy possibly like a 8 or a 10 terabyte NAS hard drive and put in there for, you know, more storage, stuff that you have worked on and you're now just kind of backing it up, as opposed to keeping the files on their M.2s. Or what they possibly can do is get a NAS and then store their files on disk. And the reason why a NAS and disk will work super well is that this motherboard also comes with a 10 gigabit Ethernet port, and most of the NAS them that, you know, Synology and other NAS have 10 gigabit port. Once you plug in your Ethernet card between the two of them, they'll be communicating at lightning speed. As I said, I'm super impressed with this machine so far. You're seeing the RGB on the front. Let's talk about the AIO. So what we have here for the AIO is the Kraken Z73 AIO from NZXT, and that is what is cooling the processor. And the AIO, it's a good AIO. I would have rather if the AIO had RGB fan, but it has some regular fan. One of the great thing about that is that you can always switch out the AIO fans and put in RGB fan. So right now I'm not really getting a full RGB feel from the machine, because yeah, the memory cards are RGB, the fans on the front are RGB, there is one little RGB strip on the side of the video card, but I'm not getting that machine that is full RGB. And I'll be showing you footage of it in the dark so you can see how it lights up and what it looks like in the dark, and you know, you'll get a sense of whether it's RGB or not. So far I'm super impressed with this machine. As I said, amazingness when you're installing applications, when you're doing certain things. As a matter of fact, when you're copying files, I was copying files from the Samsung T-Touch portable SSD to the M.2, and I got up to 600 megabits per second copying files. So you know that it's amazing speed when you're copying files. I can't say more about this machine. Like, this machine is amazing. You have stuff that I would have done different, or stuff that if I was purchasing the equipment for this, I've gone a different direction with the type of equipment that I would have purchased. However, the person did a good job with purchasing all these parts, and they're all working together seamlessly. I had some challenges while making the computer. So as I said, this board, I've never made a computer like this before. My computer that you are seeing behind me and showing on the screen, I made that computer, but that computer I made it in 2017, and this computer is a lot different. The motherboard itself is a lot different from the motherboard that I'm used to, but I am glad that I got the experience to make this computer, so that in the future when I am making more computers with more complicated motherboard, as I said, I haven't really used up a lot of the ports on the motherboard. The motherboard have a lot of different ports, a lot of RGB ports, a lot of system fan ports. It's amazing. As I said, amazingness. This machine is something else, and thankful to Motion Graphics Jamaica for reaching out to me and asking me to put this machine together for them with all these amazing parts. Thank you again, Motion Graphics Jamaica, and I'll be linking them in the description so you can check them out, and you'll also see it on screen, their Instagram, so you can actually check them out. But wow, this machine is something else. Well, until next time, I'm Shango, a creative from Jamaica. This is ETT. Blessings and guidance.